When I was a kid, they were like this big now.
Evening, and thank you for coming out tonight. Rain stopped. I'm using this microphone. There's no speakers. This is solely for our YouTube broadcast that our tech director back there, Danny, is using. And I'll just make a point now that when we get into the question and answer portion, you can see a mic to my right and a mic to my left. If you can just come to one of those stations again, because if you speak out, no one's going to be able to hear it, pick it up back home. For those of you who don't recognize me, I'm Dr. Sanchioni, Superintendent of Schools, and it's really a pleasure to speak to you this evening about bringing in the fourth grade here to the middle school. A lot of people work very hard to put this plan together. We reviewed it with our teachers last week. They're a highly critical audience, and they gave it a stamp of approval. So my greatest goal tonight, two goals. A is provide you with all this information that you want to know for your fourth grader coming here, and B, have you walk out that door with great confidence that your fourth graders can be educated here at the highest level possible in a very safe environment. So how are we going to accomplish that tonight? We're going to go through all the locations of the building and talk about how the fourth grade is going to acclimate themselves here to the middle school. Principal Zatoli will go through that with you. Then I'm going to show you what a daily schedule looks like. And Scott Kellett, the assistant principal, and Donna Larson, who's the fourth grade EIL, or the leader of the fourth grade teachers, is going to talk to you about what it's going to look like here at the middle school and how it compares to what the fourth grade is doing now. And you're going to see it's very, very similar. Andy's going to go through the student support staff, and that's the guidance counselors, the social workers, the psychologists, and how your fourth grade students will access those people and have them available to them. Sarah's going to go through everything that has to do with special education, the classrooms that are up here. Sarah will talk about the focus group that we want to establish and having some parents on that group. We're asking 3 parents from each elementary school to join with Sarah, Andy, Scott, and some teachers to kind of progress where we are today through the end of the year and then report back out to the parent community. I'll talk about transportation, what that's going to look like for fourth graders. We'll talk about the events that fourth grade is currently experiencing in their elementary school and how that's going to transition here to the middle school. And then Andy's going to talk about all the upcoming events, the transition events for parents and your students to welcome them here to Tiverton Middle School. And then we'll certainly go to Q&A. So hopefully we're going to cover everything tonight. And I think this is you're going to see something very special. So I'm going to turn it over to Andy to talk about the classroom locations.
Hi, everyone. I'm Andy Zatoli, principal of the middle school currently. I just want to talk to you a little bit about the setup and who will be in some of the classrooms. If you came, I think most of you came in on this side. It's those classrooms right there. We will do a tour after, and I'll talk about a little bit of why we thought that was a good spot for them. But I wanted to talk about where the teachers are, even though you might only be familiar with a couple, but this is where they'll be housed on the right side of the building. The entrance is right here. You just came through there. To the left is our office right here. Just to go, not in any order, but Miss Powell right here. Above that, Miss Cornell, Miss Blanchette, Miss Drought, Miss Larson, who will be speaking tonight, Miss Georgie, Sam Donnelly, who teaches here. She'll currently have a classroom down here as well, a special ed classroom. This classroom here with Miss Powell is a special ed classroom. And then over to the left on the opposite side of the hallway, we will have Miss Valentine, which is art, music, and also a special ed classroom there. And then they'll have their own separate library right here. Our office is right here. Mr. Kellett's right here. Conference room, myself, secretaries are right here to support them, especially when they first get here. Just a couple of things about the placement. When we talked about this, we talked about the safety of your children, as we talk about the safety of all of our children here. It's our number one priority. That's Scott and I's number one priority here, is to keep your children safe. And that, I think, over the last couple of years, has become a hard task. Okay, 25 years ago when I started my principalship, it was on maybe a little bit of a blip. Now it's a big blip. So that's the first and foremost thing that we talk about here, is the safety of your children. Just a couple of things. The bathroom I didn't mention is right here. All bathrooms will be designated by grade next year. Our children, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, will not be allowed to go in those bathrooms. And that's the way it's going to be. People go, oh, will you be able to do it? Yes, actually, the kids are quite good to Scott and I here when we ask them certain things. Okay, whether it's We don't want to see your cell phone. We're going to ask them, we've already started to build that this year, that they're never in that bathroom and they never need to come down this hallway ever. There's no need for them ever. When we considered these things, we talked about traffic patterns. There are hallways going up here, stairways. There are stairways here, and stairways right here. Never does a 5th, 6th, 7th, or an 8th grade ever have to come down that hallway. Our 5th graders are over here in the green. So they're just on the other side of the building, only 1 year older. Couple other things. Obviously, they're going to have their own library here. A truncated schedule, meaning they're going to have the exact same schedule. I know Donna's here to talk about that they have right now. In fact, we're just taking your children, putting them in this building with the exact same schedule they would have had in their elementary school. We will be moving the furniture over so that it fits. So when you go down tonight, it might look a little bit bigger. Exits and entrances are right there, very close to Scott and I, and things like dismissal and things like that. We will be there. Recess. Frankly, Mr. Kell and I do every recess here every day, every lunch, every recess. We're out there with the children here, locked and loaded. And I don't see that being any different. That's an important time for your kids. And we'll get into that in a little bit. So thank you.
I would be remiss if I did not take the opportunity to thank you for coming tonight before your kids do when you get home. Because I know, having 2 of my own, I know I got a big hug every time I came home from something like this. So thank you all for coming out. Their schedule next year is the same as it is this year. And whether they were in Fort Barton, Pocasset, or Ranger, as 4th graders, it's going to be the same. It will start a little bit earlier, but it's the same schedule. They'll come in, they'll have a check-in, and then they'll have blocks of time where they'll have either instruction or co-curricular instruction. At teachers' discretion, both in the morning and the afternoon, they'll be able to have a snack. Recess. Recess will be from 10:15 to 10:40, same amount of time that they have at the elementary school right now. Okay, we will have equipment for them to use. We'll bring whatever makes sense from Fort Barton to here, and we'll also get new equipment if we need it or if the kids share with us a need for it, because we will check in with them to make sure that we have the things that they need to get some energy out when they go outside, because that's important to be able to focus in class. Lunch will be immediately following, from 10:40 to 11:05. And then they'll go back, there'll be another instructional co-curricular time. And then they'll be with their teacher and they'll go for dismissal. If you want to, next. This is just an idea of the rotation we have for their special subjects. Same special subjects they have now or co-curriculars they have now, they'll have here. Library on Monday, music on Tuesday, PE on Wednesday, Friday, art on Thursday. They're all in, Andy pointed out, they're all in the same area. There's very little travel about the building. That they don't have to have very, very limited interaction with the other kids. Bus will separate them, but Dr. Sanchioni will get into that. We did create a schedule where they don't have that break from their classroom teacher at the same time. So we've rotated it through the day as they move through the specials. Donna?
So, I mean, not much more will be different than what you've already been seeing in the elementary school. Very similar schedule, very similar setup that what we've had all together. We'll be able to have those opportunities to be able to share some time together as an entire 4th grade. You know, we haven't been able to plan yet or envision what that model is going to look like as we pull this together. But there's going to be some huge impacts and some great collaboration that we'll be able to do between all fourth graders that we've never been able to do before. So there are some great opportunities here to, you know, make this an even better experience, educational experience for our fourth graders going forward. Instead of just 2 groups in 3 different schools, we'll be able to have all of them together in a very similar format that they've been seeing their whole educational career. My pleasure.
Just wanted to mention one other thing, and I believe in Dawn, if this is not true, say so, but I believe that at their age, they're walked everywhere they're going by the teacher. Am I right about that? And that's not going to change here. So when they're going from, even though it's a short distance, and you'll see this to gym, to the cafeteria, they're going to be walked by their teacher. So there's not going to be a lot of time for them to really get lost or mix it up with a 7th or an 8th grader. Even though I have to say, so many, and I know it's hard for you, but so many of us 7th and 8th and 6th are really beautiful kids here. Some of them I recognize face are your kids. And we're going to count on them next year to do what they've always done, which is to be a good citizen here. This our student support services here. Oh, sorry about that. I will leave it at this. This is my 4th principalship. None better. Scott, none better working with your children. And if you've had some children come across any of them, they raise the treatment, the kindness, the empathy, and the knowledge base to a whole other level here with our kids here. We could not survive without the services that they provide, whether it's doing Lego during lunch, building friendships, supporting kids who maybe have lost a grandparent, or all the other things that can go on at this age. They will support your children, and I will tell you, they do it unbelievably. I'm not the type to say everything's perfect here, but these 4 women are really solid people. Oh, yep. Right, currently we have a full-time nurse, and the plan would be to add a second nurse. We do have a room down there, which could be, you know, however they want to split it up. Might be just children who take medicine on a daily basis, and maybe it's the kids who just get sick during the day, or however they want to make that work. But there will be extra support than we currently have right now.
So students who receive services through an individual education plan or an IEP, those services will be carried out very similarly, or actually exactly how they are carried out now, because the IEP is what predicts what the student services will look like. So if your child is getting services through an IEP in the regular ed classroom, that will take place next year. If they're receiving services outside the regular classroom, the same thing would happen. So we have 2.5 special ed teachers coming to 4th grade to service the students with IEPs. One of the things that we'll do is have a transition meeting between 3rd and 4th grade. So the special education students receiving services from a special ed teacher, a speech and language pathologist, or a school social worker, will have a special transition meeting where those teachers and related service providers can talk to one another and get to know the students who's coming in and what their IEP looks like. And one of the things that we're really looking forward to is creating and getting our focus group together. Mr. Zaitoli, Mr. Kellett, and I will run these focus groups. And really, the focus groups here will ensure that we have a successful learning community in 4th grade at Tiverton Middle School. And I'm not sure if everyone can read the goals, but I think they're important to read out loud so you know exactly what the purpose of this is. So we want to continue to provide all students with high quality educational services, no matter what building they're in. We want to foster a resilient and connected community. We want to provide families with clear communication and meaningful opportunities for engagement. And if you're not able to be part of the meetings, we will get that communication out to everybody. We will email it out to parents. If you're on an email listserv, you'll get that information. But it's very important for us to make sure you feel included in any decisions that are being made. And then finally, we want to support our Tiverton Public School faculty and staff at every level to ensure a smooth and successful student transition. We have received some emails already of parents who are interested in being part of that focus group. At the end of this presentation, our emails are there. You'll see mine, Sarah Krager. It's skrager@tivertonschools.com. Please email me and we'll include you on that list.
Okay, transportation, what's it going to look like coming to middle school next year? So we did a lot of thinking on this, and if you know or are aware that Middletown has their 4th grade with their middle school. So we called over there, we spoke to the principal and the superintendent. We also called over to Portsmouth, where they used to have their 4th grade in their middle school, to kind of learn what worked and what didn't work. And we came to the conclusion that having the students on the same schedule was critical to the success of the program and of the school. So that was going to mean that the 4th graders will ride the bus with the middle school students. However, we've already talked to first student regarding this, and the first 3 or 4 rows in the front of the bus will be reserved for 4th and 5th graders. Then the monitor will sit. There's always a monitor on the bus with 4th and 5th graders, so that monitor will separate those students from the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students. And again, we spoke to those other towns, and they felt like it worked really well. They're not having any problems, and we're really confident that the same type of situation will occur here in Tiverton. So grade 4 activities and the traditions that are at the 4th grade, we want to maintain those here at the middle school. So I know what's already taken place is the PTO presidents at the elementary schools are getting together and talking to the middle school here about how to maintain those things, and also know that the 3 elementary principals have met with the principals here at the middle school and are talking about those transition activities, color run, field day, things of that nature that they've done in the past, and they will be maintained and replicated here at the middle school. A lot of communication taking place amongst a lot of our staff members.
I just wanted to go over a couple of the upcoming events for you, and we will send them out via your listservs and other things, and you could probably even begin to sign up for the middle school listserv, and you'll start to see some of the messages, the dates, calendar events, things like that. Before I talk about it, I just want to mention one thing. If you have kids here, there's one thing that I can guarantee to you. You will see Mr. Kellett and I out there during morning drop-off. However, I did miss today. I go, I'm not going out there. It was a monsoon this morning. He actually has like a whole rain slicker suit, so he was out there. That has been is that true, parents that know we're out there? That has become a great little spot. Parents will just pull over. Can you check in on Jimmy today? He was upset this morning going in. Can you give Brian his lunch money? Can you make sure Mary checks into the office and picks up her violin? Things like that. We welcome those kind of conversations, and if they're more serious now, we just say pull over. I don't want you going to work upset. I don't want you overnight upset. We talk right there. We're out there every day, and that's locked and loaded. Except for rain. I'm not big on rain, but I've probably missed 5 days in 4 years. But we've been out there, and you know how cold it can be out there. It's like, yikes. Couple of upcoming events. We will do a separate incoming. We always have done a 4 to 5 incoming parent. We'll do both, not at the same time. You'll have your own separate one there, because it is different, frankly, than the grade 5 night. So that'll be something we will get out to you. It's generally probably end of April, early May. Students have always come up and visited. It's a good time for like Mr. Alice and Miss Barlotta to show off their band and their chorus. I can't even tell you, like more than half our school is in the band chorus here. It's beautiful. So it gives them a little, wow, that's great to see some of our 7th and 8th graders. They do a tour, they meet me. We also, Scott and I have talked that we'll come over and visit with your children, so they'll have a familiar face this spring, and we'll plan that with their principals. So they'll have a separate move-up day. You guys will have a separate orientation. We'll dig a little deeper. I've always done summer tours because the kids will come up sometimes and then they're fine June, July, and then it starts to creep in August and they get a little nervous. Come on in. Come in and bring them in. A lot of parents have brought in like 8, 9 kids at a time. I'll take you on a tour. Mr. Kellett, we're around, especially end of August. So just send me an email. We'll plan that because they do get a little nervous, as did our 5th graders coming in. They'll also work with our leadership kids. These are some of our best and brightest here in the middle school. Really, really super 7th and 8th graders. Another familiar face to them to take them around. They'll see that some of our bigger kids are really quite genuine and lovable. I know that's hard to believe, but that's true. I know. No one has like fond memories of 7th and 8th, but I can assure you we have some awesome kids here. And then we've always done a fall open house for 5, 6, 7, and 8. We'll do a separate one for you guys. So we'll be constantly evaluating what we're doing and how it's going and how your children are doing. We will be, they might say other things about Scott and I, but no one will ever say we're not visible and we're not open and we don't answer emails and we call you right back because we both have kids. And I actually have grandkids. Wait till you have grandkids. You worry more about them than you do your kids. So a lot of things being planned. We'll keep you in the loop. We'll send things out to you.
So hopefully goal 1 was accomplished. That we provided you with a lot of important information for you to understand what the experience of 4th grade will be here at the middle school. Second goal, I'm hoping we're on that track right now to have you walk out of there feeling confident like this is going to work exceptionally well. At this point, we want to see if there's any questions we can answer for you again so that it gets picked up on our YouTube channel. If you could use the mic to my right and my mic to the left, we'll be happy to answer those questions. So just come on up. All right, so we'll go left to right, back and forth. So,
Okay.
ma'am,
Hi. Is it on?
there's no speaker.
Oh, okay. All right. So my son, at the moment, he goes through the Beyond the Bell program, which normally I know middle schoolers usually get transitioned to the elementary school. How is that going to look like? Is that service still going to be provided to the 4th graders next year, or where are they going to be located for that?
Great question. Thank you for asking it. So talk to Chris Giannini, who runs Beyond the Bell. We're going to
Yeah.
find it right here just for 4th graders and in their own class.
4th graders.
Yeah.
Okay. And same thing for
4th and 5th together.
perfect. And then same thing for early risers as
For
well.
early rises.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you so much.
Are you going to be able to try to keep, like, you know, Pocasset kids with 4th grade, like fourth grade teachers they're familiar with, Ranger, that sort of thing? Since it's a transition year, you know, it's a lot of change. They're not familiar with those other teachers. Is there any talk about that?
So we spoke to the teachers about that when necessary. We want to integrate the students as best we can as one group, as one class. And so right now our prerogative is to use our normal filters of creating classes of students as a 4th grade team. However, we have asked the 4th grade teachers if there's a student that you feel would benefit from being in your classroom, just get us those names. But we're not going to create Ranger classrooms, Sport Barn classrooms. That's
Got
what
it.
you're asking.
Okay, thanks.
How we doing?
How are you?
My question, very good. My question is about facilities maintenance. I haven't been in the school in 25 years. I walked in quite a little shocked at what I saw. Dark, not updated. Walk into Ranger School, newer school, still some opportunities from facilities maintenance, just annual paint, stuff like that, cleaning the exterior of the building. I mean, this is just shocking to me. And now, I mean, I was a student here for 5 years, just... Is there a plan of action?
There is. So we have a really comprehensive 5-year capital plan that we try to continue to upgrade facilities and things of that nature. So, you know, for example, we just replaced all the interior locks in this entire building. Over the April vacation, we're going to replace some of the doors that are a little ajar, need to be replaced and so forth. Over the summer, we have a plan to paint the entire school.
Okay.
Take care of that. And it's just, you know, ongoing upkeep as we see best fitted. So, you know, there's new.
Yeah, the building's 50 years old, and I mean,
50 years.
I left here year 2000. Furniture's the same.
It is, but the 4th graders will have new furniture.
05, it ain't changed either.
Yeah, I mean, it's just very shocked walking in the building. Having a student going from Ranger School, even Pocasset, they're bright, welcoming, and that is not what I see here. That's
Okay, so hold that and then.
that's fine. It's almost separate from the entire conversation. It's something I think as a taxpayer and a citizen, I'm embarrassed that I wasn't aware the school is in this condition. So I think just as we move forward, just how do we support the middle school? That's all.
Couldn't agree with you more. Thank
right.
you.
Talk about it, George.
Yeah.
You talked about drop off a little bit, and you guys are outside, which is great. But I know typically 5th and 6th are at one door, 7th and 8th at another. How is the 4th grade going to fit into that? And on those nice days when everyone's outside, what do you do with 4th graders at that point?
Well, we've had some preliminary discussion about that. I think that's part of the focus group, just to see how they're doing in the elementary school right now. We actually talked about that today because currently what we do is we let our walkers go. And I don't want to say this is the same because I still think we have, frankly, more thinking to do about it. Currently, we let our walkers go. They come up over the hill right over here. Cars loop around, and then we start to call buses. So you can't just let a whole grade go because my bus might be the last one in. So
Right.
To be frank with you, we have not.
Yeah, I'm thinking
I
drop off
figured
in the
that.
morning too.
Oh, drop
Yeah,
off.
both sides of it.
Buses, just to give you an idea of how that works, buses come down Quintal Drive, pull right in front here. We have teachers out here waiting. If you are a parent drop-off, you come in, you do the big loop around, and they do 6 or 7, 8 cars at a time right here in front. And that's what Scott and I are. And in the afternoon, I've transitioned down here a little bit in the afternoon, but we always have teachers in both spots. Did I don't know. Yes. Scott and I go out there about 7:30, so I would say we usually just, there might be a few there, and we say, go ahead, let them out. So 7:30 until right before the dismissal, about 20 minutes or so. 7:30 to 7:10 or so, 7:30, 7:50.
I have a few questions. So I have 4 children go through Tiverton schools. They all went to Pocasset. They came through the middle school and the high school. And my kids were in that period where 5th graders came in. We were guaranteed all the same things you were guaranteed. It was horrific for my children at that point. Only one of them really had the hard time. But you're putting 9-year-olds and 10-year-olds on buses with 14 and 15-year-olds. I have a big issue with that. No monitor, I don't care how good they are, is going to be able to assure that my grandson at 9 years old is safe, not bullied, not tortured, not hearing language or not hearing stuff that he should not hear, or anyone else's child. I don't care who that monitor is. The kids today, I work in a high school. My daughter works in a middle school, so I know how they are. I was under the impression that the kids would be why they're not on their own bus. Then this is a huge transition for them alone, coming to a school that's totally different with all these kids and they're changing classes and they're not. So why we can't have a bus for our 4th graders to come here guaranteed for their safety with a monitor, I don't understand why we're not doing that. You're closing the school, so you're saving how much money that as a taxpayer, I still got to pay for that school and still have to pay other things. One thing I shouldn't have to worry about is my grandson or anyone else's child who pays taxes to get back and forth. You're throwing this at us. We're not having a choice. So you can guarantee at least that. And like I said, I've been through this once already, so I know the ramifications. I also work in a district that had 4th graders in the middle school. They pulled them out. They're back in the elementary for that reason, because they couldn't, because it's a big difference. That's why 4th graders are in elementary. My other thing is, I know you said kids would be walked back and forth. Again, I'm going to bring back what happened in 5th grade. There was no guarantee. We had 8th graders in the bathroom with the kids. Now it's a lot worse. My kids are grown, 30 years old. They are 28. So they didn't have vapes. They didn't have all that stuff that they have now. What guarantee is that that's not going to happen? Or my grandson's not going to be bullied where someone's going to do something and he's afraid to tell whoever because he's getting threatened because there's an 8th grader who's 2 feet taller than he is, scaring him or scaring little girls or whatever. There is no guarantee. And this is a big thing. Like, you can't say, oh, we're in this hallway by ourselves. Same thing happened with 5th graders. They were in that hallway all by themselves, and 8th graders were in there constantly. Besides the fact of this time change, like the 8 o'clock and 2:33, parents who can't afford to do before daycare and after daycare for their kids because of their time. That's a big time constraint that we weren't made aware of. Why wasn't that told to us in the beginning? I was under the impression that it was going to start later, that our kids would be sent at a different time frame, and now we're not. So this is all thrown all at one meeting.
So I appreciate your questions and I appreciate your concerns. Hopefully we've addressed some of them this evening. The time is the time of the middle school, and that's a conversation with a lot of people and all the people that work here about trying to keep all the students in this building on the same schedule so we don't have disjointed nurses and secretaries and teachers coming and going and things of that nature. And it seems to make sense, and part of this came from conversations we've had with schools who do it. I would say that whatever experience your older children had when they came here for 5th grade, put that out of your mind. I think you've got a new administration here. You've got new teachers here. And when you go downstairs later and see what we've created, like I would almost guarantee you, they didn't have their own art and music room. They didn't have their own library. They didn't have their own bathrooms. You're going to see a completely different setup than maybe what you experienced back then. And all that went into the consideration of creating this. So hopefully we can ease some of those concerns with you.
How about the bus?
So again, we've talked to people who've done this, and we're going to rely upon that and rely upon what we have on our buses now. Like Principal Zatoli can speak to this. Like, we don't have a lot of issues on our buses. I mean, our kids kind of get on. They're kind to each other. We don't have kids getting suspended off the bus. Maybe you can speak to it better than I can.
Well, you don't have 14-year-olds on buses with 9-year-olds either.
8th grade is aren't quite 14, but I understand what you're saying. There's still an age gap. But you do have a person on that bus who's going to be responsible for maintaining the behavior on that bus.
I would just say this, guys, not everything about Scott and I's position is glorious. But we're not afraid to say to our older kids, don't confuse our kindness with weakness. And they know that. The good part is, this is the first year we've had all 4 of our grades, Scott and I, together. So they came in as 5th. They're currently in 8th. My first year, we had 295 suspendable days. Right now, we have 13. So the culture has changed here. It's changed considerably. Really solid relationships with our bus drivers, with our aides on those buses. And when kids aren't cooperative, we take action. I mean, it's that simple. I don't want to sound like some kind of apology. It's the worst part of the job, but when we have to do it, it goes back to what I said before. I'm here to keep your children safe. So if someone's causing a ruckus on the bus, it's going to be addressed. I do have a lot more faith in our kids because I know them better. You come in first year, everyone's testing the new principal. We're not seeing any of that right now. We've built so many good relationships with those kids. Some of our kids who don't have it so easy, but they know they can count on us. So I understand your worry. I do.
You will.
But I also feel confident in our teaching staff, our bus drivers here, and the people on those buses to support them.
Hi, I'm losing my voice, so bear with me. I have a few things to talk about. The woman who was in front of me about the bus drop off in the morning. I know right now my daughter's bus gets here probably 7:45. They have to wait outside in the cold. I know they come in if it's raining or really cold, but now that 4th grade is going to be there, are they going to be allowed in, or are they all going to be, because yes, they use separate doors to come in this school, but when they're all dropped off each bus with mixed grades, they all mingle. So how are we going to keep the 4th graders kind of away from that?
4th grade comes right in.
They're going to come in. Okay.
Thank you for asking that.
Next thing is there's now going to be 5 4th grade teachers. 2 of them are just dedicated to special needs, or are they all full?
2 plus. 2.5.
Okay. What are the class sizes looking like per classroom?
22, 23.
Okay. Thank you.
There's 5 reg.
5 reg. Okay. Okay. Perfect. So only 1 from Fort Barton's coming. Miss Peroni is not coming this way. Okay. Next, the kids not on an IEP but get reading or math help. What is happening with that service?
So the middle school currently has a reading and math specialist that will avail themselves.
It's going to be available to fourth grade as well?
Yes.
Okay.
How would somebody have time to add in the whole fourth grade?
Gonna have to do it by the needs of the students and do the best we can.
And is that because with the budget cuts of letting employees go, that service is being laid off?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. So, not lost in this conversation and what generated the genesis of this change is that, last year the Tiverton Public Schools laid off 16 employees, 16 of our colleagues who did a great job for us. And this year we're laying off 18. And that's going to have an impact. That's going to have a significant impact K-12. And, we take the budget, we adopt the budget that we're given, and we get the right teachers or as many teachers as we can with that and try to do the best we can. So
Now, where would that teacher fall in line with hiring back? Would they be at the top if we do get to hire anybody back for that service? Or
which teacher you're referring to?
like for, yeah, like a Mrs. Kilborn at Fort Barton right now, like somebody who, like,
Top of the list.
right. Okay, good. That's what I like to hear, hopefully. Okay, now I have real no concerns with my daughter coming here and getting a great education. She'll do fine with the change of things. I'm not worried about that at all. My main concern is preserving their youth. So, Andy, I love you, but are you gonna come to school in a leprechaun outfit and like dance in the halls like they had today? I mean, okay, yeah. I mean, it's. I love that. I wish we did that at our school.
It's funny you say that.
Things like
No one does the dress up, but all right, here's my promise. I will dress up on those days.
Okay, I want you,
I want them.
is an elf on a shelf, like sitting on a sign outside. Like,
No, yeah. In all seriousness, guys, I do want to preserve your kids' childhood. I think generally our kids are growing up way too fast. I mean, right here, right? That cell phone in your pocket is doing it. And I'll say this, and I say this to every transition group coming up. The longer you hold off without giving it, the better off your kids will be. End of story. And honestly, I'd wait till 8th grade. I would gang up in the neighborhood. If you're all in the same neighborhood, say, don't give it to your kid and fight the good battle. They'll be fine. They don't miss a thing. And what they're missing is not good. So I couldn't agree more. I know you were
Yeah.
getting in Scott will wear that suit. But
but even something small, like right now we do Friday, like dance in the hall. It's literally like one song. It's 2 minutes. Get them out there. So I think that's very important.
To Donna and the group, we've already met a couple times. We want to keep all those traditions. Even our 8th graders, they're not even really that old. I want them to be kids. We want our kids to have a childhood.
Details that'll come out of the
For sure.
Yeah.
we can make sure we get make sure we have.
Right. Just two last quick things. To the gentleman who spoke about how awful the school looks, I agree. And I'm president of PTO Fort Barton right now. We have discussed like fundraising or any money that we can all chip in or somebody can possibly donate to try and designate an area in the school to liven up. So hopefully that will happen. And the last thing I have is, although it's important that we preserve their youth, they're also growing up. And I know at our school, if a child is sick upstairs in 3rd or 4th grade, they do not get escorted down to the main office, to the nurse, to the bathroom. I like how they will have a teacher with them going from classroom to R, even though it's across the hall. But for things where, my daughter forgot her lunch and I leave it in the office, will she be able to walk to the office by herself and have that little independence that they need to start gaining? I don't want to take that away from them. They get that starting in 1st grade in elementary school. So.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's why we
That's-
located them in that area.
Okay.
just So that they're in close proximity to the office, and they'd be able to walk.
Great.
It works.
Thank you. Sorry, I have like a million dollars.
Thank you. Those are all good questions.
I just had a quick question, and this was actually something I had brought up earlier this year at one of the school committee meetings was we've had a real lack of bus monitors this year because we've had a hiring issue getting them hired. So it feels like when it comes to the bus situation that we're putting a lot of weight on a monitor where my children still don't have a monitor on their bus, and it's March. So how can we guarantee that when we're already down these monitors?
Great,
That was
thank you for
my
asking that
my question.
So we just went out to bid for our new bus contract, and that is absolutely stipulated that company has to provide the service, or we're going to start calling back the revenue that we send them. So I think that's going to help in a lot of ways, but they have also assured us that they will make sure those monitors are provided.
Yes. Yes. I can't even remember the last time.
Hi, how are you? Hi. Does this thing work or no?
There's no
okay.
for TV.
Okay.
Purposes.
I just have a quick question. It might be silly. Is there a red in the White House still? No, you guys did away with that? Okay, so that doesn't apply to our children.
No.
Okay, perfect. And if Nurse Brown needs help next year, you know where to find me. Okay, thank you very much.
Hi. So a couple of things about lunch. I was wondering for, I think when I was in middle school here very many years ago, and yes, it does look exactly the same. There were like extra things that students could buy, like for lunch, like snacks and things. And I was wondering how that is going to, how is that going to apply to the fourth graders coming in?
So we're going to go gradual. So we're going to try to keep the selections low at the beginning of the school year and gradually allow the fourth graders to get acclimated to the building, acclimated to lunch. And as they become more comfortable and confident here, then we'll increase the offerings.
And then also on the schedule, lunch was incredible. It was very early. Like they have a snack and then an hour later they have lunch, and then they have a very long period of the afternoon without a break or any food thing. So I was just a little concerned about how early that lunch was.
Yeah, it's part of the, getting all the students into a lunch and also accounting for that longer recess that the fourth grade has. However, the teachers have that ability, latitude to create that afternoon snack.
Okay, is that going to be encouraged?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Currently, right now, the number of students from grades 5 to 8, how many students currently in school?
Roughly 500.
About 500.
And how many guidance counselors are there?
2.
And there's only going to be 2 guidance counselors with the addition of how many?
About 100, a little over 100.
Secondly, the 1.4 of the nurse, is that an FTE, full-time employee?
So one full-time employee and one person who works a 0.4 of a day every day.
Currently, the 500 students you have in school, how many nurses do you have?
One.
I think you would think, and I think that you can have additional support for the teachers with having, whether it be a part-time guidance counselor, and I think we need students and nurses. Being a nurse, trust me, I can tell you firsthand that, safety and well-being of the students, a lot of children have medical issues, allergies. I think that we should really increase their FTE for both the guidance counselor as well as nurse.
Couldn't agree with you more. It's just byproduct of where we are financially. Right.
So I just had a question on fifth grade. So we're talking a lot about fourth grade. Are we reevaluating fifth grade, or is fifth grade going to still stay in a middle school setup where they're switching classes? Are we considering fifth grade back in an elementary type setting?
No, we're going to keep them, have the same spring meetings, move up, all the same. The only difference is they're going to be on the other side of the building, still on the first floor. So basically fourth and fifth will be on the same floor, not necessarily same lunch or anything like that, but they'll be housed. But they'll stay on the current middle school schedule that they have.
Okay. And so, I mean, at the end of the day, and I think there's very few people in this room who love this idea, right? I think we all know that. Unfortunately, we have a budget issue and we can't fix it, and no one in this room can fix it. But I think at the end of the day, where we are at this point, and I think all of us as parents and all of you as faculty, I also have a daughter who's going into 8th grade. We just need to, at this point, hold hands and kind of figure out the best thing. So whether that is cleanup day that we come here and help, whatever it is, I get it. There's a budget issue. You're never going to fix this school to make it look like Ranger. You don't have that budget, right? But I think to the father who said something earlier about walking in here, like we're putting more kids in the worst building that's in the school system. We all feel it. No one likes it, but we have to figure out how to make it a little better. So whatever that is, what I would just ask is that all of you think about that. Now, right now, it's been a lot of parents, myself included, against the school committee, against the administration, because this was not the idea we wanted. We have to kind of wave the white flag a little bit for our kids at this point and figure out how we're going to help, because we're not going to win. You're not opening 4-bar and back up. I think we've lost that fight. The 4th graders are coming here. We've lost that fight. But at this point, we have to stop fighting and really figure out what we're going to do here, because I think there's an opportunity to make it special. We talked about the way it looks, the traditions. I think someone mentioned leprechaun costumes, like whatever that is. I think we as parents in a community need to figure it out, because your budget's not going to be able to get you to fix this entirely. So we have to figure what that is, and you need to let us know how we can help and let us into the building or let us into that environment to help, because we're not going to get there with just what you have left in your budget, because you're still short even after doing all of this. That was all.
We appreciate that.
Oh, no one's there. So 4th and 5th grade will be in that front hallway. What if is it going to be locked off so no other students can come through? So say an 8th grader gets sent to the office, and now the 4th grader forgot her lunch, so now she's going to the office and they meet in the hallway. How does that work?
Sorry, I can't get the map up. Try to get it back up there, but Scott and I have been in the process. I know he's working on not only bathrooms that are, because you made a good point, like where does an 8th grader use the bathroom if they're in gym?
Yeah.
Right? And I want you to know, we have that already. Some of that will go out in some of our summer newsletters to parents. We put things about cell phones, and we're going to talk about their movement within the school, the bathrooms that they can use. We're not, like 8th graders could be in gym, they use the bathroom in the locker room, right? But there'll be certain movement, but kind of lost track of your question. Can you just ask that again?
So the 8th graders, the upper, they're allowed, they're able to enter that hallway. Like if they have to go to the office or something.
Not the
That
4th
fourth
grade,
grade.
not the 4th grade. As I said before, they never
It's
have
not
to
like
come
locked
down.
off.
There's no reason at all. They could come down. If you'll get my visual. Yeah. They would
I guess
come
we
down
can,
the other.
when we
side.
go look,
And
we
they'll know
can,
that.
yeah.
They'll know that. Now, if it's some kind of emergencies, it's a little different, but we're gonna be hard and fast on that.
We also have to remember something, right? When my son heard about this, he immediately started crying because the 8th grader is going to bully him, because that's what he saw on TV. I think we also have to start toning down the conversation, because our kids are going to sense our anxiety. These 8th graders aren't all monsters. Sure, there's a couple bad kids. I'm sure there's a few that got suspended. I'm sure there's a few that are not going to be great. I'm not going to say they're not, but they're not all. Some of them will be part of helping those little kids.
Well,
Some will be
obviously.
there. I just think, and I was directed to you, I just met everyone. We've been talking a lot about these 8th graders and little kids. They're not all monsters, right? So,
I think it's the size. They get,
Maturity. It's a big difference.
Yeah, and the worry there too is, coming downstairs, right? Big bodies. We've got some big 8th grade boys, big 8th grade girls. It's more about they're not coming down the stairs with them or in those hallways with them. As I said before, and I would say, in all of my experience, 25 years of building administrator, Scott has a lot more. That's why he looks a little more seasoned than I do. Very rarely does even an 8th grader bother a 7th grader here. They tend to drive each other crazy on the same grade level because they're in the classes all day. Spring is sprung, and they lose. Very, very rarely do I have an older kid bother a younger kid. If it happens, as I said, it will be addressed, I can assure you. I don't see it happening a lot with your kids. They'll be so isolated in that way, moving with their teachers, safely structured.
And your point, I think a lot of parents are probably willing to, we have, someone who's a contractor, like parents who are like, I will volunteer my time. I will come here and paint. I can paint, I will do all those things to make this a beautiful space for our children.
Focus groups.
Yeah. Okay.
It just, we keep asking questions about the, the hallways the kids will use. A lot of this, when you go downstairs, I think we'll answer your questions. All the rooms are labeled for the fourth grade teachers. You'll see their names on the classrooms, special ed classrooms, a special fourth grade library, special fourth grade art and music room. And you're going to see that these other hallways where the 7th, 8th grade are nowhere near that hallway. Like they're never going to access it. It's really been well thought out.
Recess, when they go out for recess, when they're outside, who is with them when they're out for recess?
We have people on duty, most likely the 2 men to my right.
Only 2? So right now in the elementary school, they have 4 TAs out with them. Okay, so 2 of them. So now you have 100 kids. That's not 100 kids at Ranger. That's not 100 kids at Pocasset. That's not 100 kids. I work at Portsmouth. We have 4 TAs for our 2 grades that we have go out at once. So how are we assuring that 100 kids are going to be out there? That, no offense to the 2 gentlemen.
Yep.
But their safety.
First line, and they haven't made their duty roster yet. I assume there'll be more people out there than just those 2.
How about indoor? When they're indoor recess, same thing? Because that's going to be a smaller space if you're using the cafetorium. I'm sure that's what's still there, right?
There'll be people there.
And we're going to have enough staff, though, there.
Yes.
That's 100 kids. You can't have 2 people with 100 kids. I don't care how great you are. 2 people for 100 kids is a lot. I mean, that's a lot of kids, especially rambunctious 4th graders.
Right. And we still have the TAs that we use now that will be coming.
So they'll be coming over?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi. So Sarah, you had mentioned that the middle school staff and the elementary school staffs will have transition meetings to discuss students coming to the middle school who receive services. Will parents and those students be invited to those
We'll
meetings?
create something for the parents to have transition meetings with the staff as well.
Okay.
We currently do that when our students go to 4th to 5th grade and it's successful. So probably just mirror that.
Okay.
They're short meetings,
Sure.
but it does give you a chance to meet the case manager that your child will have. Yeah.
Is it open to the child as well, or is it exclusively for parents? Like, will there be an opportunity for our students to get familiar with their team before they come?
So we plan on doing that during those summer open houses that Andy reviewed on the PowerPoint.
Okay.
But that's an idea. We can think about that and talk about that maybe in our focus groups if we can have the kids come up. I was thinking when Andy and Scott go down to the elementary schools, we'll have our social workers and guidance counselors go down at that time. So at least they'll see them.
Okay. Sure. Thank you.
Yep.
Hi. So my daughter's current class has about 14 kids in it, and she was bullied this year by one of the kids inside her class. So the fact that our class sizes are moving up to 23, and not even necessarily that they're older kids, but just from the amount of kids, it only takes 1 to make them not love school anymore. Are we gonna have teacher helpers or anything in the rooms for those 23 kids? Because that's a big jump from 14, 15 to 23.
Yeah, so I would say to you that if your daughter's in 3rd grade right now, and I know what school she's at, not all of our 3rd grade classes that are small. We have 3rd grade classes right now that are 22, 23, and we have 4th grade classes that are 22, 23. So that's not unusual for our 4th grade
I don't
teachers.
particularly, I just mean that her transition. I mean, I understand that everybody else's classes do have that, but I would like to know what the transition would look like.
I'm sorry.
So will there be teacher helpers in there or no?
There won't. No. There'll be traditional 4th grade. However, let me just add though, if there's a student that has a teacher assistant assigned to them, then that person would be there.
Is it a 4th? I just have a few things. I'll be quick. A 4th grade lunch, 5th grade, 6th. You're setting them up. You're setting them up by grade. Like the 4th graders would be. All right. So the 4th graders would be.
4th and 5th will overlap a little bit, but all of our other.
Okay. And from what I remember, volunteers are welcomed more than. Is that parent volunteers?
We've never had them enough because I didn't know if it falls on that. Yeah, as long as you get your BCI.
Because I mean, that might ease a lot of us in this room and a lot of us watching if you say parent, hey, you want to stop in once a month and make photocopies or.
I think it might be, a lot of parents go back to work when the kids get to middle, perhaps. I
Sure,
don't know.
sure.
But yes, we welcome parents.
Well, I mean, even half day or an hour, just if they're in here and they see, I myself included, just the drop off pickup. I know you said that you're going to let the fourth graders in. So when they're dismissed at the end of the day to go out to find their bus, are they just kind of like, see you later, open the door and kind of let the, the chickens run kind of thing?
Adults that are out there, Scott and I are out there, they come out the front door, they walk up, the ones that are getting picked up, and they all hang like on the curb.
Yeah, that's I'm okay because I know you guys are there. But as far as I'm just thinking of my daughter because I know like at Pocasset the bus pulls up, she gets on her bus and then goes. The bus pulls up, the next group gets on their bus and goes. So are the fourth graders? How are we going to transition this so they?
Yeah, the buses,
I know it's in the horseshoe. Yeah.
4 or 5 of them line up and we'll say bus 20, bus 10, bus 8, come on out. And,
All right.
and they line up and then usually 4 or 5 in here when by just 2:30, 2:33, I think we dismiss. And then once they're loaded up, they go and by then they're starting to queue a little bit. So I would say 5/4 of all our buses are here and out.
All right.
Here's the thing you need to know, guys. I'm not going to tell you that a 5th grader or an 8th grader, I had an 8th grader miss the bus early this year. I can assure you, if I have to sit here till midnight till you get home work, I'm going to do it. Scott and I do not leave when a child misses the bus. We will contact you. We sit here. We sit right out the front. Conference is right there, and we wait for parents to come in. We never leave a child here ever, whether they're in 4th or 8th. Even when our 7th and 8th miss, and this again shows you how young they are. They'll cry. No, got you. Phone calls. The secretaries are right on. We have a queue. Oh, Mary missed the bus. Oh, yeah, I can get her. I can get her. And we wait. We'll never leave a child here alone, ever.
Mr. Santioni, I know what you said as far as the 4th grade teachers. I mean, can you maybe reconsider the comment about the kids not having their 4th grade teachers that they know? Could we throw these kids a bone? Please. I mean, I know it's not written in stone, and I know you can't move mountains, but, I mean, really,
Part of this came from the conversation we had with the 4th grade teachers too. So, we get a lot of information, we take it all in, we try to make the best decisions. So in a conversation with teachers, like, there's a kid or two at our school we'd like to have, but, integrating that, making it a community was really important to them too. So we can relook at it.
I understand, but they have 5th through 12th, they could do that. I mean, I'm just saying, first year, trial run, this is the class that's gonna, be the guinea pig, so to speak.
One Fort Barton teacher's not coming though, so that means that half the Fort Barton 4th graders don't, there's only one Fort Barton 4th teacher coming. So there's a whole class now that those kids, do you see what I'm saying? Like they don't have Ms. Drought, is the only one coming. So now you got a whole class.
Fort Barton has the biggest classes right now with only one teacher coming here. So in order to not just isolate the Fort Barton students in a classroom with all other students that know each other, everyone's going to have to be integrated.
I didn't know that there was only one Fort Barton
there's 5
teacher
teachers, one from
coming.
Fulton, one from Fort Barton, and 2 from the other schools. And Fort Barton has the largest 3rd grade classrooms right now.
So I didn't know that, but I'm just assuming that the 4th grade teachers were coming with the children when I made that comment. So I am asking to see, just work your best. I know not every kid's gonna get what they want. I mean, that's how life is. I do want to comment on the bus monitors. There are times that my daughter's bus doesn't have a bus monitor. So that needs to be held strong. I don't know, who you're putting out to bid or who, X, Y, and Z, like that has to be a deal breaker. Because I know, and the bus monitor isn't going to be all end all. I mean, our kids could be at Longplex and be bullied or be commented on, so I know we might be putting too much weight on this. And I know money's not, everywhere, so to speak, but could TMS kind of be a priority out of the schools? Not to be selfish, but as far as refurbishing or, new bookcases or, whatever is that. I mean, I know you're retiring, so it's not so much you, it's going to be the new guy in, but.
Well, it'll be me because it's all going to have to be planned before I leave at the
All
end of
right,
June.
then I want TMS to be a priority for money in your budget that you have. All right, you unfortunately let off a bunch of faculty, you're closing the school, we're kind of upset, so please put TMS
So
at
am
the
I.
top.
Well, let's be on the same page with this. If you think that I'm happy about this or feel good about it, I don't.
Well,
18 of my colleagues are walking out the door June 30th.
It's awful.
It is.
I wouldn't
It's
want to be
awful.
them, and I wouldn't want to be you. But
At all.
you know, it's just the way it came, and you know, I know it was.
Let's just take that and make a positive out of it. And if you don't mind me, let me digress a little bit. It's not so much about the fourth grade coming here. But, you know, we got a lot of interest. A lot of people got socially active and started talking about this transition. And there was positive comments. It was comments against the administration, against the school committee and all that. Okay, great. We can get, you know, it shows me that people can activate themselves and for a cause. But you missed the cause.
With the ruler.
Like the cause is the revenue in this town. And until like all the people in this room become a social media group and an activist group to advocate for your children, like Brendan's back there, our business manager. We already looked next year's budget, 1.5 million in the hole. Come on, people. I'm not taking. It's not a budget. All right, so I'm not taking a while. So, let me just digress for 1 second then.
We have less money. That makes no sense.
Well, I just think it's for the people to kind of rally around this.
You know what I mean? Well, maybe it is, but I also am not.
No. I just want people to be active about that problem.
Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Ma'am?
Wait, I have one more thing. I'm sorry. I want to say from experience from my sons coming here, Mr. Zotuli and Mr. Kellett, they're wonderful. If that puts your mind at ease, they are attentive. The kids are top priority. You know, anything that I had, not that I had a lot, but they're right there. Email, phone calls, you know, after hours, anything. So please, you know, use them, you know, abuse them, whatever you want to do. But they're two good guys that are there for our children. Whether, you know, we're grateful for that. Thank you.
Hi, circling back to the IEP, I think you mentioned that there was 2.5 teachers coming up. So do you know the names of those teachers, and is it any of the teachers from the current elementary schools? Because I know, like, especially in Ranger, they have 3rd and 4th grade for one teacher, and all the kids are coming in, and I know they're integrating, but my son specifically asked me to ask this question because he loves Kim Tavares, and he would be really excited if we got her again.
Kim Tavares, yeah.
She's great.
But I love all of these people.
Yes, they're all great.
Kim Tavares is not coming here.
Okay.
We have a teacher, Jen Valentine, coming from Pocasset, and Caitlin Powell is coming from Fort Barton.
Okay.
And then Mr. Kellett mentioned Sam Donnelly. She's already here, so she's going to be working 0.5 with some of our students.
Okay, and then we'll get an email so that we can meet everybody and I can introduce him to them.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
I just wanted to ask about the recess time. I know, like, with the 4th graders coming in, there is the playground in the elementary schools. Is there going to be any kind of action for that they would move any kind of playgrounds to the middle school, and where would that be?
So thank you for asking that question. We looked at moving the Fort Barton playground up here to the middle school and not able to do that. So there's 5 feet of concrete under every one of those posts. And so when we talked to the DPW about doing that, to take that out and to jackhammer off the concrete and try to move it there without damaging it was just impossible. So our plan right now is to move a lot of the equipment that's currently at Fort Barton up here for the students to use at recess. We also plan on surveying every 4th grade student to ask them what they'd like to see out there in the beginning of the year with a lot of equipment for the students to use during that recess time. And we're hoping that will work really well.
Thank you.
Hi. So currently at Ranger, the 4th graders help out with the kindergartners or bringing them to the bus in the afternoon. I'm just wondering if you could do like a 7th and 8th grade peer helping network type thing for 4th and 5th?
Yes, that is the plan. We have a group, there are a couple of really good groups here, but one which specifically is run by Scott and I, is called our leadership group. They're our current 8th graders. We've asked them we do a lot of conversations about leadership. Part of that has a little bit of slant of, if you see something, say something. I want them to be the eyes and ears here. But they've also done things, they've gone into our classroom and worked with our younger kids already. This is part of the project and part of the expectation for being in that group. I took them to Boston College this year to tour the college and do all those kind of leadership things. We finished by going to the girls' basketball game there. So long story short, yes, I'm going to count on those kids to work with the younger kids.
It wasn't me that asked that question.
There you are. So, yes, and as I said before, I love our kids here. And especially the ones that I know I can count on to be super supportive of your little ones. And there are many here. Many. I keep looking at you, but.
It's okay.
Me? Okay. I just wanted to try to say something positive because so my son just came to 5th grade this year and he's like a very easy target for bullying, and so I was terrified. But he's had like the best experience here, and he really is like, I never see the older kids, like they're very in their own little bubble. So I just hope that puts some minds at ease because he's like thriving here.
Thank you for sharing. Okay, I don't see anyone else at the podium, so hopefully we've answered your questions. However, we will go downstairs, Andy, Scott, Sarah, myself. If you have any questions, feel free to approach us personally, but we invite you to come right down the stairs and into that